How's it going, everyone? My name is Bryce Newberger, and I am the author of the Kinship Chronicles Children of the Phoenix. I just wanted to give a little information about the book, how the writing process happened, and just to encourage anyone out there who is writing their own novel and just kind of what it looked like to kind of get this out and some of the regrets I have and some of the lessons I've learned. To anyone who wants to write a book. Um, I've been a youth pastor and a youth leader. So I've been with a lot of young teenagers, and a common thing that I hear among some of them is, "I want to write a book. I want to write a book." And so I'll ask them, "Okay, tell me about this book. Because what do you want to be? I want to be an author. Here's what I'm doing." And a lot of them never write their book. Like they never get it written. And so the first encouragement I would give anyone is just write. Like just get out there, just put pen to paper, put finger to keyboard, and just get it out. A friend of mine who is also an aspiring young author, she said, and I think she was stealing the quote from somewhere else, but the quote that she shared with me was, "You can't edit a blank page, but you can edit a bad chapter." And so just write. So long time ago, I sat down. I wrote a timeline from beginning to end of just a cosmology for a world. And then as I put a few key points on that timeline, I thought, where would I like to tell a story in this world? And so I kind of picked a place in the middle of the timeline that looked good to me and placed my story there. And that helped, later, some of the feedback I've gotten on my book, some of the good feedback has been, it really feels like your world is alive and breathing. And a friend of mine was like, "I wanted more of your lore, but there wasn't too many places where you just dumped it on me." And that's probably because the world is all written, and then I threw you somewhere in the middle, and so the world doesn't have to necessarily build itself. It's out there. You're just in it, and you get what you need. As I introduce a new race or a new feature of the world, you kind of get a little bit of what you need to understand what's happening. But I tried to avoid large, just lore dump kind of situations. Um, so as it came to writing this book, a friend of mine who is another aspiring author, he was taking me under his wing. He was a little bit ahead of me on the process, and he was saying there is a limit to the amount of words and pages that you can have to publish your first book when you want to get a book out there. And the story I wanted to tell was kind of big. And so originally I'd written my book, and I almost had the whole book done. And I realized the pacing was off. It was off. It was moving too fast because of the limitation that I had for how long it should be. You can't write too long of a book for your first book, and so that's why my book's so short. And so I had to pare it down and decide to actually make it an anthology. And so one book turned into 3 books, which is now currently going to be 4 books. With the potential for a 5th prequel to tell more about Bryn and Ada and how they met and what happened there. So I had to pare it down. One of the regrets I had about doing that was my book is 40 chapters, and it really should be about 20 chapters. For the length of each chapter is pretty short. The reason why I kept it at 40 chapters, not 20, is one, because I was already well underway of writing it, and I didn't want to start over a third time. I think that would have just killed my creative juices. Another thing was pacing was I wanted my chapters to move kind of quick and rapid. I wanted the action, I wanted the intrigue, I wanted the drama, and I didn't want a lot of just time to breathe and sit. And so one of the pieces of feedback I got from someone was when it came to the traveling pieces in the book, he was saying that they seem to get from point A to point B pretty quick. And to a degree, the geographical space that we're playing in for this book is pretty small. It's pretty much the whole story takes place, within the space, essentially between a town and a city. There's a town and there's a city, and however long it would take people to travel from that town to that city, it's just a few days travel. But But also, I remember reading Tolkien, and Tolkien's a genius. I could never be Tolkien, but I remember reading Tolkien, and he had like what I felt like was just two chapters that were the longest chapters in the world on a forest. And I remember reading, I think it was The Hobbit, and I was just like, I get it. They're in a forest. He's very poetic. He's very beautiful. People really love that kind of stuff. But I grew up also reading Dan Abnett, R.A. Salvatore, some of these other authors who they're just writing action novels, and that's really at my heart what I'm trying to write was an action novel, free, like guilt-free, fun, get in, read some action, get out kind of book. And so I'm constantly moving where the action is in my story, and I don't really want to rest too long outside of the action. In the next books, they will be they'll be about 20 chapters, and they will be about the same length, but you're going to breathe a little bit more. Some of the other feedback I got was that when I was building my cast of characters, it bounced between all the characters, and it's a little jarring in the beginning of the book. And that's so valid. But again, I kept it the same for this book. This book is kind of an introduction to the anthology. The next book is going to focus on one of the three main characters. And so we'll be able to pause and breathe a little bit more with that character in the next book. Is that the best option? Probably not. I probably should change my book, but it's written and it's out there. And that goes back to my previous advice, which is just write. And that goes to my next advice, which is some people are going to hate what you write. Some people are not going to care about what you write. And some people are going to love what you write. And so just write. Don't write thinking about the critics who don't like you or the critics who don't care about you. Write for the people who are going to love what you write, and then learn and grow from others as you go. And eventually, the amount of people who like what you write will probably grow over time as you learn lessons from the other critics and learn how to take in their criticism without it destroying your creativity. I wrote this book about 8 years ago. It was fully written, maybe a decade ago. It was fully written. And I sat on it for a few years, doing really nothing with it. I gave it to a few friends to read. They gave me some great feedback. They really liked it. And I had a few friends offer to edit it for me. And I was like, thank you. Okay, here you go. And they never edited it for me. One friend was a professional editor. He's like, I'll edit your book. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Thank you. He didn't do it. A few other friends are teachers with English majors and all that. And they're like, hey, we love your book. We'll edit it. I'm like, thank you so much. Please do that. And then they never did it. I've learned that if anyone offers to edit your book, they probably mean it, but they probably won't do it. So probably just pay an editor. But I ended up just putting my book on the Google Play Store as is. Finally, I was just like, forget it. Put it out unedited. You're going to find some typos. So to cheapen that, the typical book, that length is like $6 to $8, or $7 to $8. I made mine $5. There you go. I took a few dollars off because it's not edited. So if you see some things in there, and because it's digital, I can update it later to fix some of the typos, which I will end up doing. As I was recording the audio version of the book, some sentences wouldn't flow right. I changed the children. They were pretty young, and so then I made them a little bit older, and so some of those old ages are in the written book. So as I was reading it as a script for the audio version of the book, I would go in and make a few changes. There's still a lot of changes I caught in there, like capital letters where they don't belong, punctuation, like as far as commas. There's no like periods missing or exclamation points or question marks missing, but there's a few places where the sentences don't flow very well, where those could be edited. And I still got to catch a few of those, but just get your work out there. Just get it out there. As I was recording the audio version of the book, I recorded 9 chapters, and then I stopped because life got crazy. I moved, lost my job, got divorced, a whole lot of crazy stuff. And those 9 chapters sat out there for a long time. My brother found it. He was reading it or listening to it, and he's like, I really like this. You need to do this again. And I thought, yeah, I might get to it. And then I went and I said I was really only doing that to hopefully catch some attention and push people towards the written version of the book. But as I would go back and listen to it, I'm not a voice actor. I would listen to some of it like, wow, that's really cringy, some of the voice acting in this. And I was kind of secondhand or firsthand embarrassed for myself, and just thought, I don't want to go back to do that again. But he recently was just like, hey, when are you ever going to finish that? And he put a little post out there on social media to say, hey, encourage my brother to finish his book. And so I finally decided to take my pressure of perfectionism and my own standards and put them aside. And within a 48-hour period, I was able to crank out the other 31 chapters that I needed to record. Just sat down, pulled it up, recorded them, didn't listen to them back, just recorded them and put them out there. And instead of wringing my hands and going, can it be perfect? Can I do better? I'm not a voice actor. So this is just another way to partake of the story that I've written. And if later on down the road, I want to collect a little bit more money and, maybe get a YouTuber who does audio readings and pay him, someone like, like Wolf Lord Rowe or someone like that, and ask them like, hey, here's some money. Will you read my book? It's a pretty short book. Then maybe we could do something like that. But anyways, I'll wrap up this short little video just to give, a little encouragement to people out there. Sit down, put, pen to paper, put finger to keyboard, just get your work typed out, get it written out, get it, just out there. And then you can edit it later, but you can't edit a blank page. And when it comes to it's not good enough, I read my book and I really don't like my book. I read it a few times. I'm like, there's things I would change, and you're always going to feel that way. But at a certain point, you just have to go, here it is, world. There you go. And as I write the next book or the next writing projects that I've been doing, I'll take the lessons learned and move on and just continue to grow as an author. But I'm going to let this book stand as my first written work out there. So I hope you guys enjoy the book. I might do another video just explaining some of the world and lore, just to help answer any questions if people have some after reading the book. A lot is actually explained in there, but the design is that you could go back and reread the book multiple times and get more and more. So once you read the book from beginning to end, if you want to revisit the book knowing the ending, you'll see a lot of things that I hid within the book right in front of your face that now make more sense as you're reading it the second time through, knowing how it all winds up. But yeah, you can see these boxes behind me. I'm moving. I'm in between jobs again, and that's the time when I have to sit down and work on this kind of stuff because it's not my day job. And so, if you're out there and you're thinking, I don't have time, I don't know when I'm going to do it, I'm right there with you, right? I'm in this with you guys, but you find the time where you can. You might even have to fight for it a little bit, but just make the time, find it where you can, do the work, and get your works out there into the world. If this has helped you and encouraged you to go write something or to get some of your creative projects out, let me know. Reach out to me on social media or track me down through any way you can. And leave a comment on this video and let me know. I'd love to read, what it is you guys have going out there. I hope that some other, young author who is not a professional author is encouraged to just, slap their book together and get it out, just to have more creativity out in the world. All right. Well, you guys are awesome. And thank you so much. You have a good one. Bye.